Hello guys, welcome to a new video. In this video we're gonna review Nikon D40X. This is almost 15-year-old camera. Can we still use it in 2022? Can we get great results with this camera in 2022? We will soon find out guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to the channel so that you always get notified whenever I post a new video, and don't forget to press the bell icon guys. So guys, this camera was launched in 2007, 15-year-old camera it is. This was an upgrade to the older Nikon D40, which was the entry-level DSLR camera from Nikon, and this is an APS-C camera guys. This camera had a 10 megapixel sensor compared to the older Nikon D40, which was having a 6 megapixel sensor. And this sensor that this camera have is exactly the same sensor that we find in Nikon D80 and also the D60 camera. And this is a CCD sensor, not a CMOS sensor. And CCD sensors are usually known for their nicer colors. The colors out of the sensor looks really nice and very real. They are very nice. I mean, it has a different kind of character to them compared to the CMOS sensor. So this camera can still take some really nice images even in 2022 guys. And guys, this is a 10 megapixel, and 10 megapixel are not that less either guys. Unless you want to make a billboard, then maybe you need 45 or 50 megapixel, or if you do a lot of cropping. But if you don't do a lot of cropping and you are doing portrait photography, you want to post your photos on social media, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, then you can get great result even with this camera. If you combine this camera with a 50mm f1.8 lens, then you can get really nice photos in low lighting situation and also nice background blur, because the ISO range on this camera is not that great. It is from 100 to 1600, which you can expand to 3200. So this is not the best camera for low light situation. So if you are shooting in low light, try to use a flash or a 50mm prime lens or a 35mm f1.8 DX lens, then you can get great result with this camera. In terms of frame per second, this can shoot 3 frames per second. So not the best camera when it comes to action or wildlife photography, but for portrait photography or maybe for landscape photography, this can do a great job because the dynamic range is still pretty good. It's around 11.2, so it's not very less, but it is not very high either, but it is a decent dynamic range guys. The weight of the camera is pretty light, actually it's around 520 grams, so it is a very lightweight camera and very easy to hold in your hand. Just like any Nikon camera, the ergonomics and the button layout is pretty nice and simple. If you buy this camera, you would be able to start using it and learn it in less than 15 minutes guys. And other good things about this camera is that it is very simple to use because it does not have too many options. If you look from the back, it has a fixed screen. There is no live view. There are like basic buttons that you need. You don't have to do too much by going into the settings. So just hold it to your eye and start shooting. This has 3 autofocus point only. So I try to use the one in the middle actually, and then I recompose the shot. For me, even one autofocus point is more than good enough. So not the best camera when it comes to tracking the subject, but if you know how to focus and recompose, you can take great photos even with this camera guys. Now I'm going to put onto the screen some of the sample photos that I've taken with this camera guys, and all the photos that I took were using this 18 to 55mm VR kit lens guys, and mostly in the good day lighting situation guys. And you can see they look pretty decent actually. I mean, they are not that sharp because this is slightly older sensor. If you compare them with the Nikon D3300, the photos are really very sharp from D3300. But yeah, it is a bit soft. But if you want like portrait photography, for portrait photography you don't need too much sharpness actually. Sometimes even a slightly soft photo looks nicer. If you look at the older portraits from black and white era, all of them are not that sharp, but they have some kind of a character to them. So the photos from this camera look decent, the colors are nice, and it does the job. I would say on a scale of 10, maybe I would give 7 out of 10 for the photos that I took with this camera. It has done a decent job. And if I would have used maybe a 50mm prime lens, then I could have got even better results and more sharpness in the photos. But I'm using the kit lens, and with the kit lens this is what you expect, and yeah, the photos are okay-ish, guys. Now guys, I'm gonna show you a close-up of how the camera looks like. So these are the basic buttons that you see on the camera, using which you can play around with the different settings. And the viewfinder is over here, so 3 autofocus point here, and the screen is 2.5 inch, which is not the sharpest screen. If you want to magnify your photo on this screen, they don't look great. So if you want to see your photos, it is better to see them on a laptop or a computer screen rather than here. On this side you can put the SD card, and on this side you can connect this camera via USB cable to your computer. And from the top the camera looks like this. So just like any other Nikon camera, we have similar kind of mode dial, shutter button and some other buttons. So it's a very easy to use camera, guys. Now the final question, guys, should you buy this camera in 2022 or is it too outdated to use in 2022? Well guys, if you want something on real budget, so I got this camera for around $70 US, guys. So for $70 US you are getting a DSLR, that too with a kit lens 18 to 55 mm. And if you buy a 50 mm lens, then in less than $150 US you have a kit, and using which you can take some really nice portrait photos which you can post to your Instagram or Facebook. So if you want something that can do only and only photos, and if you are really very tight on budget, then you can go for this camera. I would say you can still get decent results with this camera, guys. But if you can spend maybe like 30 or 40 dollar more, you should go for Nikon D80, because that camera has exactly the same sensor as this camera, but on D80 you can use the older Nikon D series lenses that do not have the autofocus motor inside them, and those lenses will autofocus perfectly fine on D80. But this camera body do not have the autofocus motor built in to the body, so you cannot autofocus with those lenses on this. But if you don't want to use those lenses, if you are happy using the kit lens, you can still get great results with this camera. For $60-70 US, you cannot go wrong with this camera. You can still get great results. So it would be a very nice entry point into the world of DSLR photography for anyone who is a beginner, who wants to learn the basics of photography, how to control the aperture, how to set the shutter speed, how to control the background blur, ISO, and these kind of things. You can learn using this camera, that too on a budget of less than $100 US. So you can consider this camera if that is your requirement, guys. But if you want something more modern, then this is not the camera for you, guys. Alright guys, I hope you liked my video. If you liked my video, like and share it, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in a new video, guys.